Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something really crucial, especially if you ever feel like, your money's pulled in a million directions, like helping kids, managing your own life, maybe assisting aging parents too.
Yeah, that's the sandwich generation, right? And that's exactly who our source material is talking to today. What we're doing here is basically a brief rundown of episode 311 from the About That Wallet podcast that featured host Anthony Weaver talking with Mukarram Mawjood, who founded Bullionite. And their whole goal, really, was to give practical habits for people in that exact spot so you can handle it all and actually feel good about your money. Confident.
Okay, great. So we're jumping right in then, starting that financial journey, specifically thinking about investing, maybe even trading, in a way that lasts. And it sounds like the very first step, well, it's internal work.
It absolutely is. Look, the most important advice, really, for anyone getting into markets or just trying to get their finances sorted is you have to know your why. If you're just thinking, oh, I want to make a ton of money fast and quit my job, that's not a solid foundation. It's just not.
Right, but isn't knowing your why a bit abstract? Especially when, the why for listeners might feel really immediate and stressful, like I need this much for rent or I need X amount for my parents' care this month.
That's a fair point. But that immediate need, while it's a motivator, isn't the deep why. The deeper reason, maybe it's freedom, security for your family, having choices. That's what fuels the actual discipline needed. See, a lot of people think trading is some kind of easy way out, a relaxed alternative to a 9-to-5. But honestly, done right, intelligently, it might actually be more work. It definitely requires more rules than your day job, probably.
More work, more rules.
Yeah, but here's the key difference. It might not feel like work in the same draining way, because you're building something you genuinely care about, something aligned with that deeper why. The end goal is that freedom, right? Living life on your own terms.
Okay, so the path is an easy street. It's about focused effort, discipline. And speaking of discipline, we need to get practical. It can't just be motivation. What about habits for, say, trading specifically?
Exactly. The source conversation really hammered this home. Before you even think about putting real money on the line, trading smartly isn't luck. It's about systems you can repeat. You absolutely must put in the time testing things out, simulating, paper trading, back testing your ideas rigorously. Prove your strategy works before you risk actual cash. That groundwork, it's non-negotiable. It really separates, serious investors from people just gambling.
Got it. So that technical side, that rigor, sets you up for the bigger picture, the mindset shift needed for long-term success. If that focus and work ethic unlocks freedom, then we need to understand what we're trading for that freedom, which brings us to that shift from scarcity thinking to abundance.
Yes, this is huge. You've got to sort of rewire your brain on this. Money.
Yeah.
It's essentially unlimited. There's always more that can be generated or earned. What's really limited, what you can't get back? Your time. That's the actual currency you're spending every day.
Yeah.
The big mistake so many make is trading away that limited, precious time for this unlimited thing, money, without getting massive value back in return.
Generational value, even.
Wow. Okay. So when you look at an hourly wage, say $30 an hour, you're actually giving up your most finite resource, time, for something that's, infinite in potential. That really reframes it. It changes the power dynamic completely. And embracing abundance also means dropping certain phrases, what the podcast called the shackles of poverty. Things like, oh, I can't afford that, or that's just too expensive. When you constantly put limits on money with your words, you're basically telling abundance, nope, stay away.
Okay, that makes sense, but it's tough when the pressure is real. Can you give us a practical example? What should someone say or think instead when faced with a big cost?
Right. So instead of defaulting to, I can't afford that car, maybe try thinking, or even saying, I'm choosing to allocate my resources differently right now, maybe towards an investment that gives me a better return on my time. See, that puts you back in control. You're the one deciding, not just reacting to perceived limits. You're the architect.
That's a really powerful distinction. Okay, so let's sort of wrap this brief up. Financial freedom, especially if you're in that sandwich generation juggling act, it really starts with digging deep on your intention, that why. And making a pretty dramatic practical shift in how you value your time and how you talk about money. Moving towards abundance.
Exactly. And maybe a final thought to leave you with, something that applies to money, but also just life. The idea is the universe kind of refills you only when you empty yourself. When you give your knowledge, your time, even your money, it's like you're making space to receive more, to move to the next level. It's a constant forward motion fueled by generosity.
That's a great place to pause this brief. Thanks so much for tuning in to this quick summary. Again, this was drawn from episode 311 of the About That Wallet podcast with Anthony Weaver and Mukheram Maudjud.
Yeah, and we really do encourage you, if this sparks something, go listen to the full episode. They get much deeper into actual trading systems and financial education there.
Definitely. And if you got something useful out of this quick dive, please take a second. Leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen. And maybe share it with someone else you think could benefit, someone maybe navigating those same financial pressures we talked about. Until next time.